G'day viewers, welcome back. This time I'm going to be attaching this to this and explain what this is all for. Stick around. If this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. I hope I can teach you something. If you like what you see, and consider subscribing. Now in the last video I constructed this and that, and I've since drilled holes in the corners of that, but now we need to attach this to this and put it all together and show you what it's all for. But before we go ahead and do that, there's a bit more to do. Just 4 screws is now completely attached to that big chunk of wood. But that's not all. This can't sit outside because we've actually had considerable rain over the last few weeks. I don't want that sitting out in the rain getting damaged, and it's not exactly helping the log dry out. So need to make it mobile. before anyone asks, why didn't you just use angle or split a square section? Let me explain that too. To split a square tube down along its corners, well, you need to hold it. And a piece that small, okay, yeah, that'll fit on my vise. But if I pinch there and try to run a grinder death boil down along there, sooner or later, the force of the vise is going to overtake the force that's holding it apart and crush it, grab the disc, explode the disc. And that won't be pretty. Now, you can come in from each end, leave a little bit in the middle, but again, you're going to have to let go of it so you can do that bit in the middle. So, cutting a piece of square, slicing a piece of square tube that size, it's not going to end well. And as for angle, you see in here, it's not a sharp edge, it's not a sharp corner, it's a radius. So that, if you've got a bit of square tube in there, well, you can already see what's happening. It won't sit right onto the square tube. So unless you want to go through there again with either a grinding disc or a death wheel and cut that radius out, angle's out too. Okay, now we hit a bit of a roadblock because I need short pieces of tubing to fit this 8mm rod. I can't buy any in town. A 12mm or 1/2 inch thick wall tube would have done the job, but again, as I said, can't buy that anywhere in town, so I'm gonna have to make it. So what I'm gonna do is drill a piece. I've got a piece of 16mm rod. I'm going to drill the center of it. If I had a lathe, if I had my lathe, that'd be easy. I don't, and a lot of you guys probably don't either. So how are we going to drill a 16mm rod exactly in the center and get it perfect? Let's have a look. Well, the first thing we need to do is find the center of the rod. I've got it mounted here in my vise. Just going to colour that in. Just like that. Now I already have my dividers set at 8mm because that's 16mm, half of that's 8. And as you've seen before, we find a couple of points opposite each other. They don't have to be exact. We make a few lines. There we go. Turn it 90 degrees. Do that again. Mark there. Mark there. There's our center point. But now how do we drill it so that it goes straight down the center? Have a piece of angle. I think that's 25mm. Yep, 25mm or 1 inch angle. Now if we take the 16mm rod, place it into the V, you can see that there's a lot of movement there. So if we clamp that in a vise, it's going to clamp on the rod. It's also going to hold it steady. So that, plus a piece of flat bar, that's just a bit of 1.6mm. We need to weld that on there, right there. Dead square. And how do we know if it's going to be dead square? Well, first thing we need to do is find out if our vise is parallel to the bench. There's an app for that. It's called Bubble. It's a level. So if we pop that there, that's on the bench, that's measuring about 0.3 degrees. So now, just pop that up there. That's pretty much the same. So we know that is parallel to that. Now we can hang that over a bit. Make sure it's open far enough. Yep, that'll do. And you may have to clearance the shoulders down here just to make that fit. Mine's good, it's already clearanced. Put the flat stock across the movable jaw. Put the angle in so it's level with that. Just up just a tad. Okay. Not quite centered, but it's close enough. But let's move it over anyway. There we go. Now you can see already, hopefully, that angle is not square. That's okay, because now we're just going to put a tack on that. Then comes the tricky bit. Now we can take that out. Now we need to make it square. So if we put our square on there, we can see that's not square. So we already have a tack here. If we're careful, we can just twist that a little bit. Let's put it back in here for a sec. Ow. Just going to give it a couple of little taps. And that's not helping. It's really close, but not quite. The 3mm, there we go. Hang on a minute. It needs to go that way, which means that needs to go that way. Do anything. It's getting there. Just turn your own ear so you can see what I'm doing. That is really, really close. Just going to give it one more. This is why the tack here needs to be pretty minuscule. Otherwise you won't be able to move it. That's pretty good. Now we can tack here. That should be all it needs. Now we can use that. Drop that back in our vise. That's not going to work because it's not clearanced enough down the bottom. That's alright, see, that's just a bit of rough casting. I'm just going to grind that away, or break it away or something, and that should fit. There we go, clearanced. Now we can put that in there. Yeah, see, it sits further back. Now we can put our bar stock in there. Tighten it up. Bar stock in. Tighten it up. Make sure that's down all the way. Put that there. And that should now be square in each direction. It's pretty good. So if we put that on our drill bed, we should be able to drill straight down the middle. Let's see. Alright, now these pieces are going to be cut off at about 25mm, 1 inch. And obviously I'm not going to be able to drill the entire length of that with that drill. So, going to be drill one, cut it off, drill one, cut it off, and you get the point. Now, I said they're about 25mm. How do you know? It doesn't really matter how far you go, but you need to know whether you've gone far enough. I'll get to that in a second. So, bit of tape, you can use masking tape, electrical tape, any tape, as long as it's not 2-inch tape, because you don't have that there. Mark it about 30mm. I know, I need to go at least as far as that tape. That looks like it's gone far enough. Now that's only a 5mm to start with. I'll bore that out to 8mm later on. But let's chop that off and see how we went. Well, there's good news and bad news. Well, that's off center to begin with. So what happened at the other end? Of course, it's not centered. You can see that's way off center. That's the bad news. The good news is, I know why. It's because of the one variable I didn't check. We know this surface is parallel to, well, whatever we put it on, but that jaw's not square to the deck. So of course, when I put the tube in, it kicked it off square. Need to do something about that before this will work. There's actually just one more variable I didn't check. From there to there, to there. The table isn't parallel to the base. Now I need to do something about that. However, there's 4 of them. As you can see, not one of them in the center. That worked. But having said that, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you can see that one at the top is not in the center. Neither is that one. That one's close, but it's a long way off there. And I need to drill that one out to 8mm. But again, it's off center. Having said that, it doesn't matter because, well, all it needs to do is slide onto the 8mm rod. I just put it in the orientation I need it, and there we go. And before someone jumps all over me in the comments and says it doesn't matter if the table's parallel to the base as long as it's perpendicular to the drill bit. Well, let's do a little experiment. I've got a 1/4 inch hex shaft in here. Spin it. That looks pretty straight to me. Very little, if any, deflection. I'm not putting a dial indicator on it, but if we put a square on there, onto the edge, it's not a lot, but there is an air gap down there. There we go. Wow. Check that out. You're not getting what I'm getting, but it is off. And this square, I've checked, is within a few minutes of being square. So no, the table is not parallel to the base, and it's also not perpendicular to the drill bit. Alright, now that that's all over and done with, I've got two of them, the worst two, laying down in the vise, centre punch the top. I'm now going to drill them out to 5mm so I can tap them to 6mm. Probably all thinking we just watched almost an hour of video to see a router platform. Well, hopefully some of you are thinking, hey, that's pretty cool. Anyway, that's what it is. Now I can actually get down and actually do some work on making a wishing well. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope you got something out of it. Hope you learned something. You like what you saw? If you did, hit that like button down below. While you're down there, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you know when the next one's coming. And I'll see you on the next one.